The stories of Buddha's former births, known as Jataka tales, provide wisdom to both young and old. In the desert of Rajasthan, located in India, there once lived a trader who traveled about buying and selling. He had 500 carts, which he loaded with goods and supplies of wood and water for his drivers and oxen. A pilot led the way and stayed at the head of the caravan. The trader rode at the end of the long caravan. The trader's young son was always eager to see the world. Once he requested his father to take him during the travel. The father agreed, and he stayed beside his father. On his travel from east to west, the caravan had to cross a great desert of sand. The sand was so fine that the hoofs of the oxen sank at every step as they plodded along. The sea of the sand swallowed all tracks, and there was no road to follow. The going was hard. The day was hot. The caravan traveled during the night only when it was cool and when the stars were visible. The pilot guided the drivers by watching the North Star and certain other stars to the west. One night the boy asked the pilot to show him the North Star. The North Star stays fixed at one place no matter what the season be. The boy was full of enquiries and was eager to sit beside the pilot at the head of the caravan. He was anxious to learn the way the pilot guides the caravan by reading the stars. The pilot, however, was non-cooperative and arrogant. He did not want to be bothered with the chattering of the boy all the time, so the boy had to go back to his father. They traveled night after night. Each day at dawn, when the pilot gave the signal to stop, the drivers arranged their carts in a circle and unyoked the oxen. Then they fed and watered the patient beasts. They built fires to cook rice for themselves. Then they raised tents, and most of the drivers lay down to sleep in the heat of the day. Some of them, however, will play dice with their friends, and especially the pilot. He was addicted to gambling, and many times he skipped sleeping through the day. After supper, when the sand was cool and it was time to travel, the drivers put out their campfires and drank once more from their water bags, folded their tents, and went on their way. When it was almost the end of the journey, the pilot got relaxed. He gambled all day and did not sleep for several days. He was awning all the time and was grouchy. After supper, he said to the drivers, "Tomorrow we will reach the end of this wilderness and come to the city. Now we can lighten our loads and travel faster. So, pour out the water and throw away the wood." The trader trusted the pilot and let the drivers pour out the water and throw away the wood in order to make the travel lighter. When the night fell, the sleepy pilot raised his arm, pointing west, and the caravan moved forward over the trackless sand piles. Then he went to sleep. During the night, the oxen had no one to guide them. Bit by bit, they turned and headed back toward the east, from which they had come. All night they kept on their way. At dawn the pilot got up and shouted, "Stop, stop!" The call passed from one driver to another, all down the line, and the caravan stopped. The boy got up and saw the fading northern star is not on their right. Now it is on their left. "We are going wrong way," shouted the pilot. "Turn the carts around. Turn the carts around." The pilot knelt in the sand and beat his chest in shame. My fault, it's all my fault. Alas, without water we shall die. All is lost." The drivers unyoked their carts and raised their tents, but in their hearts they had no hope. Without water, the oxen could not go on. "Without water, all of us will die," said the trader to his son. "But we must not give up. Wait here until I return." "Father, father, let me come with you," said the boy. "I may be able to help you." In the cool of the early morning, they set off together on foot, searching here and there among the sloping waves of sand. The sand was getting hotter by the minute. At last, in the distant valley, the boy's keen eyes saw a clump of desert grass. "Father, there must be water under the grass," the boy shouted. "True, my son," the trader replied. "Turn to the carts and tell the strong and best men to come. Tell them to bring spades." In the fiery sun, the boy ran all the way to the caravan. With the thirsty lips, he gave his father's message. Men came and started to dig on the spot where the grass grew. They went deep. The sand was getting harder, but there was no trace of water. In the deep hole, the drivers sweated. Their mouths were pursed with thirst. Then the spade struck a rock. "So this is our reward," cried the men. "All our work was for nothing." In despair, they threw their spades and returned to the caravan. The boy went down into the hole and listened carefully. Then he shouted, "Father, I hear the water flowing under the rock." Then he ran to get a sledgehammer from the caravan. When he came back to the hole, his feet were burned by the heat of the sun. His father was too weak to lift the heavy tool. The boy went down into the hole with the hammer and struck it with all his strength. Men were curious as what was going on, but the boy was confident and continued to strike the stone. He was getting tired, and before he was ready to quit, he gave his last blow. Suddenly the rock split in two, and a stream of water gushed out. The water rose in the hole so fast that the boy had barely time to climb out before the well was full. From that well the oxen drank. All the men drank and bathed in the fresh, cool water. They chopped up spare axles and yokes from their carts and built fires to cook their rice. The boy raised a flag by the well so that other thirsty travelers could find it. The pilot said to him, "Come and sit by me. Tonight I'll teach you to follow the stars." And when the sun had set, the boy took his place at the head of the caravan as they went on toward their journey's end. There the trader and his son told the story. And when they had sold their goods and returned home, they told it again, so that ever after, in all that desert country, the boy was remembered as the finder of the well and the breaker of the rock from which came water in a wilderness of sand.